Hey, today I'm talking about 3 spooky movies, and the names of those 3 movies are 28 Weeks Later, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and The Final Girls. Stubbies. 28 Weeks Later. This is a movie I have seen before, and actually, I own it. This is a 2007 film, and it is a sequel to 28 Days Later, a much superior film, but though this one is actually pretty decent. So the reason I wanted to rewatch this one is because I discovered that Imogen Poots is actually in this. If you're unfamiliar, I have a mega crush on her. I've watched over half of her films now over the course of this year and last year, and it blew my mind when I discovered I actually own a movie that she's in. Now, I didn't rewatch the first one because it's a movie that I really love, and I try to not rewatch old movies that I haven't seen recently that I know I really love. The premise is it's a zombie movie, fast zombies. The title refers to the fact that it has been 28 weeks since the initial zombie outbreak. So they're kind of in recovery mode, but then of course everything goes to hell. I thought the movie was good, it was enjoyable. The kills were good, the gore was good, the story was fine. You don't really go to a zombie movie for story, but that is where I kind of dock its points because there's so much just like convenient stuff and everything's like super interconnected, and like there's one zombie that's just like chasing the main characters around for the entire movie, and I'm like, come on, we don't need one zombie. It's a zombie apocalypse. We can have the horde go after them, or even just like the logic of how the hell that first zombie got out of the containment. But again, you don't watch zombie movies for the plot. But yeah, it was nice seeing Imogen. It was cool seeing her so young, making me think back to when I was her age. She was 17 when she filmed this, and I would have been 17 when I watched it, so we would have been the same age. That's a helicopter flying by. The best thing about this movie is its opening scene. It's one of the best opening scenes to a movie I've ever seen because it is just utterly terrifying. Ugh. Now, I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend this one. I would definitely recommend the first one, and if you just want some more zombie goodness, then you can check out this one. So yeah, it was enjoyable. Next up is I Know What You Did Last Summer. This is a 1997 slasher film starring Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt, my third one of her. I have such a big crush on her. If you want to know to what extent my crush of her is, watch my Garfield review. I love that review. The basic premise is it's about a group of kids who just graduated high school, and then they do something stupid, and then a year later they face the consequences of their actions. And it's pretty dang solid. I was kind of surprised how much I enjoyed this movie. I also thought I knew the ending of this movie, but I did not know the ending of this movie. This movie's more of a mystery than I was expecting, and I really enjoyed the mystery. It took me along for the ride. And then like all of the kills worked really well, and then like the reason that like the killer kind of torments the kids also makes a lot of sense in context of the story. It's not just like the killer's not killing them because it's not the correct time for them to die in the story. He's not killing them for very specific reasons. Yeah, there's a lot I like about this movie. I really like that they didn't really sexualize any of the characters. It didn't feel male gazy at all. I also love the aesthetic of it. I also love that they made the 2 main women very, very strong characters. My 2 complaints about the movie, my one more legitimate complaint is that it's a bit slow at times. I was kind of like, let's go to the next thing already, occasionally. And then my other less serious complaint is that Freddie Prinze Jr. is barely in this movie. I thought it was going to be more of like the 4 kids trying to figure out this mystery, and we're always like jumping back and forth between them. But it's really just the 2 main women, which I did like a lot, but it's like, come on, you got Freddie Prinze Jr. He's adorable. Use him. I definitely recommend this movie. It's a good, solid mystery thriller. You're in for a solid, fun time. And lastly is The Final Girls. This is a 2015 movie, and the basic premise is it is about the daughter of an actress that starred in a thinly veiled version of Friday the 13th. Years later, after the mom passes away, the daughter goes to a anniversary screening of the not Friday the 13th, during which she gets sucked into the movie along with her friends. Now, I thought the basic premise was really solid and interesting because it's a way to get to say goodbye to a loved one who passed away and to just kind of deal with all those sad, complex emotions. That's great stuff. And also just the idea of it being a love letter to slasher films. That's fun. But I don't think they did a good job with the execution. I mean, like, the first obvious thing is this is a PG-13 movie, but this should not be a PG-13 movie. It's about slasher films. It needs to be an R-rated movie. Secondly, this is a very meta movie, and they do little bits of meta stuff, but they don't go far enough with it. The logic of their meta stuff breaks down, and that's really frustrating. Like, the first thing they do is establish that this is a time loop movie. As soon as they get sucked in, a van comes by and they choose to not get in the van, and then for some reason they just sit there and do nothing for an hour and a half, and then suddenly the van comes by again, and then they still don't get in, the van goes away, and it happens a third time after an hour and a half. It makes no sense why they just sat there for 3 hours not really doing anything or talking about anything. And then, like, establishing that they're in the movie's happening essentially in real time, but like time's gonna go by faster. And then they also establish that, like, dying in the movie doesn't matter because you just come back again at the end of the movie. So that got rid of, like, all of the tension. So, like, I didn't care when anyone died. This really just comes down to, like, the more I think about this movie, the more it bothers me, because they set themselves up for a really good movie. And it kind of sounds like the original script is closer to what I wanted this film to be, what this film should have been, but I thought the movie was okay. I don't recommend it. My brother Justin has seen this movie and he actually really likes it, so there's the contrasting opinion. I don't recommend it. Justin would though, but I don't. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got 28 Weeks Later, sitting at number 84 in the Quite Like section. And then not that far behind is I Know What You Did Last Summer, sitting at number 94 in the Quite Like section. And then an actual long ways down is The Final Girls, sitting at number 184 in the Meh category. And this is out of a total of 232 old movies so far this year, and that brings the grand total out of all the movies I've seen so far this year up to 291.